Hi, I'm Caitlin and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we are starting a whole new year of LitLand. So if this is your first time on this channel, LitLand is my beloved TBR game that's kind of based on Candyland, where I take 5 pulls, unless I have to take a punishment, where I try to make my way based on the colors on the board to a book haul, meaning I can't buy books until I've hit this thing. And where we left off last month was like right here. So it's possible. It's very possible to get a book haul, and I'm hoping for it because my birthday is in January, and so we're going to play today to try to see if I can get to that book haul. Before we get into the actual gameplay for January, which I'm very excited about, I have to check in with you to let you know how things are going with what I was supposed to read in December. So, because that's how my punishments are unlocked or utilized on this channel. So I had 6 books to read proper in December, and then I had 3 rollover books from my November, since I do give myself that permission as long as I've started a book. So I'm happy to report that of the 6 books I officially had to read for December's TBR, I'd done and dusted those. And then, so I had November rollovers for these 2 plus the ebook of It's Been a Pleasure, Nani Blake by Claire Christian. And those are also taken care of. So we're starting fresh this year, my friends. Starting fresh. My December wrap-up will be coming in the next week or so. So make sure you check back in if you want to hear about my thoughts on any of these books that I read. But for now, we're picking new books, and that's some exciting stuff. Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to 2 of the people who have TBR games who have consistently inspired me to do the same. And that is Becca from Becca and The Books and Codie from Codie's Book Corner. Their respective TBR games to me are some of my all-time favorite to watch, and it spawned so many cool games here on BookTube. So I am just constantly a big fan of both of their channels and who they are, and they've inspired some of the ways that I think about my TBR game, and I think they always deserve that shout out. I will also want you to know that I'm participating in a couple of different things this month. So I'm going to be participating in the Pop Culture Readathon for the entire month of January. I'm not going to do a specific TBR poll for any of that because I'm just kind of going to let that vlog go where it wants to go, but just so you can be on the lookout for that stuff. I'm also doing the year-long challenge of the Buzzwordathon, and I'll cover any of my potential picks for that prompt at the end, but this month's prompt is Dream. And then I'm also really interested in participating in the Historical Hellions book club, which is ongoing all year long, and they've announced the first 6 months worth of books so you can get your hands on them early. But January's book is Night Song by Beverly Jenkins, and I have already pre-ordered that from the library, so regardless of whether or not it fits into this TBR game, that's like an additional book that I'm going to be trying to read in January, and I won't be taking a punishment if I don't get to it. It's just truly wishful thinking on my part. So you all know how this goes. 5 pulls in this case. I'm not taking any punishment. It's the first time since like September that I haven't had to pull a little stuck square card to come up with a challenge. So let's see what we can do with our 5 pulls. All right, I'm trying a different angle on the game here, but you'll notice it's still pretty much the same. We have Wilbur over yonder, and it's like kind of close to a book haul, but I don't know. I just don't know. This is where we netted out last month. These were last month's cards, including our stuck square / punishment card that I had to take. So those are gonna go right back here. Deck of cards to pull from, cards we done used, challenge squares, which are like these little friends, and then the stuck or punishment squares, which are either if I did not complete a book or if I land on one of these dots. God, let's hope we don't get sent back so far. I just want a book haul. That's all I want for my birthday. Oh, okay. I want to be excited, but looks like we're not getting to a book haul because this is taking us back. But this is a romance card, so I'm going to take Wilbur right over here to where romance is on the board, and then I pull a challenge card, which we haven't done in this round of LitLand. Oh, and an Instagram poll. Okay. All right, so we're moving a little bit backwards. We did get a romance card, and this one was Instagram poll. So again, thank you to everybody who has helped me come up with these challenge and stuck square cards. You're always free to leave your ideas for that in the comments. And yeah, so this was definitely one of y'all's doing. And I'm gonna see what I can do about romance and an Instagram poll. So what I'm gonna do is pick two, and then I will do something in my stories and maybe an actual Instagram post, and you can vote in the comments or in that story. So I'll just show you the options and then I'll tell you what got selected at the end. Okay, so for my two choices, I kind of want like some similar vibes. I'm in a mood. I'm in a romantic mood for some contemporary stuff. So there are some that I've been really wanting to read but haven't gotten around to yet. So first choice is going to be 40 Love by Olivia Dade. Older woman, body positive romance, plus, you know, tennis puns. So into it. And it's also, I think, like a vacation set romance. And then One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. Again, body positive romance, but this is more of like a contemporary reality TV show vibe. The Bachelor just wrapped, so I got time and, you know, a void to fill in my life. These are going to be my two options. I will do some Instagram posting. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I do occasionally do things like this, not super often, but occasionally. So, you know, I'll tell you which one of these got selected when I know the results of that. All right, next poll. What? Why? Oh man. We're going over here now? Okay. Okay, next in your most recent series. That is productive. Okay. We're just gonna go back a little further. Cause young adult. So I get another challenge square. I'm gonna try not to cry. So there goes my dreams of a book haul. Okay, anyway, young adult. This challenge square says the next in your most recent series. Because it's a young adult challenge square, I'm gonna try to focus on a young adult series. I'm gonna need to go to my Goodreads for this. So what I think I wanna do for this is choose a book that I actually own that's next to my series, because the goal of this TBR game is as often as possible to pull from my own TBR. I have no problem using my local library, but because of the pandemic, you can order physical books, but they're extra tricky to get a hold of because there's like a waiting period, and there's only like 3 or 4 locations in the city of LA that are actually letting you do physical pickups. So I'm gonna nix the library for now, but again, I know that there's plenty of options for digital loans, but it looks like the two most recent series in YA that I finished are An Ember in the Ashes and Jade City. Those are the first 2 books in their respective series, and I actually want to own the rest of those. So I'm gonna hold off, even though it's perfectly valid to do an ebook or something like that. I really want to own those physically because physical books are my preference. So I'm gonna see what I already own within that. And it looks like some of the other recent ones I've done are either standalones, like Star Daughter from last month, or series that I'm not likely to continue with, but again, are also in that realm of the library picks. So I think the next in my most recent series that I actually own the next one for is a Brandon Sanderson book. Let me go get that. Yep, we do own a copy of it. So this is Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And I know for some folks this was a bit contentious for me to call this YA, because it's not only is it a denser book, but it is most commonly considered just adult fantasy. However, this edition that we own is published by Torteen. So because it's published by Torteen, I'm gonna roll with it being young adult. So anyway, excited to read this. I read Mistborn for the first time back in November, so this is book 2, and book 1 follows Vin, a streetwise urchin who discovers that she has some kind of like magical gifts, mystical powers. She is Mistborn. So in this world, things that you and I might call magic, this realm calls allomancy, and it comes from like burning metals that you have eaten, which is way more cool than I've just made it sound. But each of those metals gives you a specific kind of power for as long as you can burn it metaphysically. And Vin is one of the lucky few that can burn all of the metals, and that's what makes her Mistborn. So along the way, in the first book, she meets another Mistborn person, Kelsier, and they basically have this epic heist adventure and are trying to tackle the Empire at the same time. So I only summarizing book 1. I obviously haven't read this, and I do not want to spoil the events of book 1 if you haven't. So this is part 2, where we pick up where we left off after book 1, and I'm really excited. Okay, yellow. I'm dying. Okay, so that means I actually have to pull a stuck square. It doesn't stop me from progressing across the board, but I do have to pull one of these green cards. Oh my god. Oh, okay. A hyped up book I'm not excited for. And it is a yellow, the stuck square, so if I can try to find a young adult, I will. I think this game is messing with me. Oh my gosh, I have heard so many times people, specifically like Becca, talk about her board game as if it is a living and vindictive creature. And I have never felt that way about LitLand, but today I think I feel it. So we got a yellow, hey, progress, one yellow. But that just so happens to land us on a stuck square. Now in Candyland, if you hit a stuck square, that's it. No more turns for you. But for me, what that means here on LitLand is that I pull a stuck square card. And the difference between the challenge cards and the stuck square cards is that these tend to lean more towards challenges that I want to avoid. Sometimes it works out for me in a positive way, but sometimes not. So the one I pulled for my one yellow, which again, this is young adult, so I'll try to find something within young adult if I can. And this is a hyped up book you're not excited for. And again, I'm trying to get through my physical TBR a little bit so I could go digital with this. I think that's still a valid answer, especially if I'm not excited for something, because I tend to have books physically that I'm excited for. So maybe let me go see what I have, because maybe there's something that I was excited for and I'm just not. Or honestly, some of the things that I get from my book boxes are not always my cup of tea. So let me just see what I've got. Okay, so I found one. This was published in 2018, so clearly the hype passed me by, but I just was never, I got it in a book box, but I was just never that super excited about it. But I still hear really good things, and I know there are a lot of people out there on either BookTube or Bookstagram that are really big fans of this author. So I'm going to give Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa a try. I believe this was an Owl Crate pick a couple of years ago, obviously in 2018. Yeah, and it's signed, so I'm assuming this came from Owl Crate. I just cannot remember. The cover's really cool. Let me see what it's about. Okay, I am struggling with my words today, so I'm just going to read you a portion of this because I have tried 3 times to describe this book, and it's been a nightmare. So, that says, 1,000 years ago, the great kami dragon was summoned to grant a single terrible wish, and the land of Awagato was plunged into an age of darkness and chaos. Now, for whoever holds the scroll of 1,000 prayers, a new wish will be granted, and a new age is about to dawn. we're following Yumiko, who's half human, half kitsune, and she kind of has to go on this quest for reasons. I don't want to get into it because I feel like the dust jacket got super spoilery. And she, along the way, runs into a guy named Kage Tatsumi, who is a samurai of the Shadow Clan who has his own reasons for pursuing the scroll. But Yumiko feels that he's her best bet to get the scroll for herself. So, interesting. I do love a good mythology-based fantasy, so I'm hoping that this will actually, I will gain hype, perhaps, where I was not hyped before. But I do think this fits the bill, since this is something that's been on my shelves. It was actually buried in my shelves. It was like 2 layers back on my YA fantasy shelf. So I didn't even realize I owned this. That's how unhyped I was for this book, I'm sorry to say. I'm sure you're lovely. But we're going to give it a go and we're going to see. What is happening? I clearly did not shuffle these as well as I thought. Oh my god. All the way back here. Man. Okay. Nature on the cover. It's not funny anymore, man. It's just, it's not. Just in case you were ever wondering, I definitely don't reshuffle my little stack. The last time it was shuffled was the time that y'all saw it back in September. So this has just been waiting for me for months. We're going even further back into historical fiction, which means we're pulling another challenge square. Well, you know what? We're getting through these challenges. We're getting through them. Oh my god. Okay, so a historical fiction with nature on the cover. And I know this was somebody's suggestion, and definitely not one I already had in the pool. So I'm glad to see that these are getting used, that your suggestions are getting used. There's the silver lining. But yeah, historical fiction, nature on the cover. I love reading historical fiction, but I don't actually own a ton of it. So this might have to be a digital pick, a digital pull. Okay, let me see. Let me see what I got. Okay, so most of the historical fiction that I own, and that's even like ignoring my entire romance portion of the genre, is a lot of ladies in dresses, yeah, just a lot of ladies in dresses. So not a lot of nature on the cover of what I currently have. So I did some digital digging and I found an edition of The Color Purple by Alice Walker. And that's a classic that I've never read, and it is definitely historical because it is set in between the 2 world wars in the United States, or I guess, world wars being global, but it is set in the United States. I don't know much about this book, to be fair, so I'm not gonna try to fake it for you. It's always been on my laundry list of like, oh, that's a classic I'd like to read. But the edition I found had a lot of like leaves and plants, and was really, really beautiful and brightly colored, and grabbed my eye when I was looking on Overdrive, which is my library's like extension for digital loans. So I think we're gonna go with it. It also sounds like it might have a bit of a diary or epistolary take to it, which I am a big fan of. So I'm actually pretty excited about this pick. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, cool. It just went one. I just moved one step further. One orange. Okay. This game has really gone places that I did not anticipate. Orange is my fantasy and sci-fi square. I have lumped them together because I don't own a ton of sci-fi, but I wanted the opportunity to arise, if it does come up. So it's fantasy or sci-fi. I'm really trying to get excited and find the good. I actually think I have a really awesome TBR for this month, but like, Oh, this game was brutal. Okay, let's pick this last book. I'm sorry, I'm just like, I've been robbed of my words over the course of this game. But I am actually really excited to read this book. It is El Penelope's Song of Blood and Stone. I've seen a little bit about this, but not a ton. My friend Clara from Clara Books It on Instagram has read this, and I believe she really liked it. Gosh, I'm just obsessed with this cover. And it is part of a series. It's book 1 in the Earthsinger Chronicles. It says so right there. But it's a like sweeping fantasy. The kingdoms of Elsira and Lagrimar have been separated for centuries by the Mantle, a magical veil that has enforced a tremulous peace between the two lands. But the Mantle is cracking, and the true father, ruler of Lagrimar and the most powerful Earthsinger in the world, finally sees a way into Elsira to seize power. Okay, love a good magical power dynamic. And so then we have some of our main characters who, Jasminda, she wants to live on a farm rather than, you know, be front and center. She also has that gift of Earth Song, which it seems like the king of the opposing country also has. She's kind of isolated and alone because she's shunned for her Earthsinger abilities, right up until a group of Lagrimari soldiers enter her village with an Elsirian spy, because they think they're still in Lagrimar. And so Jack is the Elsirian spy. But he seems like he might have some ulterior motives that are actually more pro-Elsirian than he's, you know, being presented as. So, okay, we're talking about they're unveiling an ancient mystery that might offer salvation to their kingdom. I do really love the cover art, but if I'm really being honest, the reason that I bought this specific edition back in August was that it says it's the special Earthsinger edition with expanded all new scenes. I can't resist an expanded reading experience. I really can't. So I'm actually pretty excited for this. This game went sideways on me fast, but I am really excited for the books that I'm reading this month. Rapid fire, real quick, I won't go too far into it, but I am going to be participating in the Buzzwordathon, which was originally hosted by Kayla at Books and Lala, but she's kind of put it into a Goodreads group now so that people can just do it at their own pace. And so I'm going about it the route where I'm just kind of going to read one book a month with the buzzword in it, just to keep things interesting. So the word for January is dream, and looking at my own TBR, I have 3 books that could work for that. So I'm going to show them to you real quick, and you can tell me down in the comments below which one you think I should tackle. The first one I have is Stage Dreams by Melanie Gilman. It is a cute little graphic novel set in the West, and there is also LGBTQIA plus representation in this, so looks good. Then I have the first ever book that I got from my Page One box subscription that I still haven't gotten to, but I'm still really interested in, and that is Walter Moyer's The City of Dreaming Books. So this is a translated work, but it really has kind of some of that like multimedia perspective. There are illustrations, there are pages that are a little different, a little uncanny, so it fits into some of my loves there. But it is kind of a fantasy-oriented read where this little guy, this creature, kind of goes to the City of Dreaming Books to discover something. So, dreaming. And then this one is super random. I think I picked it up to meet like a purchasing quota once upon a time at a bookseller, but it seemed interesting, and it is Dreamer's Daughter by Lind Kurland, and it says it's a novel of the 9 kingdoms, so I'm probably plopping into the middle of a series here, but the premise seemed kind of interesting. There's a quest for magic involved, and you know, I like stuff like that. So these are my 3 options for the Buzzwordathon based on my own TBR. So if you have strong thoughts on which one of these 3 I should read, let me know it down in the comments below. Much like my participation in the Historical Hellions book club, anything I read for Buzzwordathon is not going to count for or against my LitLand unless I can directly squeeze it into the TBR. And that didn't work out this time around. It probably could have, but you know, I got excited about other things. Okay, so I have 5 books to read this month. Ooh. These top two, One to Watch and 40 Love, I will let you know which of those I'm actually going to read, because that will be the results of our Instagram poll. I will also be reading The Color Purple by Alice Walker, which is not pictured here because that is an ebook that I will be getting from my library. But 5 books total, plus, you know, some of the things I'm participating in for the different readathons or book clubs, like Night Song by Beverly Jenkins, and then one of my dream books that I just mentioned. So it's going to be a full month, but hopefully a really good one. Despite the fact that my game was very rude to me and does not respect my birthday, we got some really good picks anyway. I'm trying to be nice and sunshiny about it, but I'm really devastated. Like, I just can't even look at you right now. I suspect, but can't really prove, that the reason I got so many of these stuck together is that I had to hand make these cards. They're made on different size and weight of cardstock than the actual Candyland cards that I'm using. So I think what probably happened is, in the midst of all that shuffling, they kind of just like stuck together a little bit better than the other cards. So what I'm gonna do, not during the rest of this game, because I'm gonna let it play out however the heck it plays out, which I may come to regret. But what I think I'm going to do next time for the shuffle to try to fix this is have Jeremy shuffle all of the regular LitLand cards, and then I will not look while he inserts the 5 challenge square somewhere in there, and that way it'll still be like random and hopefully not as prone to the shuffling problem. We'll see how that goes, but that is a solution for another time. As much of a struggle as this was for me, I hope you still enjoyed yourself. Thank you for spending the time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!